Hello, Libra, and welcome to the extended. So, just to kind of hop right into it, we left off the YouTube portion of the reading kind of with the idea that you are coming into a space where you're realizing that you will always be taken care of. It's like the earth is incredibly abundant, and because it is so incredibly abundant, it's as if you know that whenever you need something, what you need is going to arrive. And so you're never going to be without. There's always a sense that you have exactly what you need right when you need it. And so it's really putting you into this mind state of that, your world is incredibly abundant. And because it is so abundant, and because you are like with that cornucopia energy, because you are giving thanks and you are grateful for all of the things that you do have, I mean, it's really coming through with this sense of gratitude. It's that it's kind of like, okay, so what I've noticed here is that you remember how there's this message, right? This pearl that this raven, or not really pearl, is coming through as like a sun. Well, that sun is being reflected back into the water. And so what that is referring to is that your sense of abundance and being grateful for all of the things that are being provided for you, especially when you're finding yourself in a space where you need something, it's like it's reflecting back at you. And so because it's reflecting back, it's like a mirror. It's like the energy, the vibration itself is bouncing back and forth. And every time that happens, there's an amplification. There's an amplification of that abundant energy. And that's where it's starting to kind of get into this in excess. So not necessarily that it is because it's like it's almost tipping into like hoarding, if you will. Like it's a huge hoard. It's a feast, right? There's so much. It's so abundant. There's something for everyone, and because it is amping up, it's reflecting back onto itself, and so it's like multiplying. There's a sense that yes, you are being provided for, but also know how to utilize what you're being given like to its greatest advantage, if you will. Because what I'm seeing here with these two that are in the center of your reading is that there's this idea that winter is coming. And just like how the squirrels and everything, they pick all of the abundance of nuts and stuff off the trees, and they eat some, of course, and then they hoard away the rest to save for winter. And it's like, because you are so in tune with the cycles of nature, you're starting to feel like you need to preserve. And the idea of preserving is coming through with this amber as your overall energy, because I'm seeing like there's this pine cone inside this amber. Everything is like locked away inside this amber. It's being preserved. And if we were to take it like out of this amber, it would still be just as good as it was when it was preserved. So it's giving me an idea of like canning, actually, because I'm even seeing in the other card that came out with your overall energy as like this looks kind of like those I think they're called like mason jars. Mason jars are those ball cans with the screw cap, and it's coming through as like canning. So there's a point here where you have reached this incredible level of abundance that it's starting to turn into an excess. And now it's almost like now the next thing that you're thinking about is, okay, well, now that I have all of this excess of abundance, how can I preserve it so that if I do need it later down the road, I will be able to provide it for myself. It's kind of a tricky energy because it's starting to bring in like a sense that you have the potential to go through another phase where there is lack. And so you're kind of hoarding away lots of things so that you can prevent that, so that you can, you've saved everything for the rainy day. And when that rainy day does arrive, now you have all this stuff, right? So there's something in that is almost like hiding the true nature, or the truest, like the highest truth of abundance. It's like it's kind of clogging it up, because you're showing up here in the second row of your reading with this common tortoise, and on it it says steady on. And what I'm seeing is that you were in such, you had gotten up to this very, almost like a crystal clarity of understanding that you're always going to be provided for. Abundance is all around you, right? And then now it's been reflected upon, it's like reflecting upon you because you're giving gratitude. And so because of that, it's starting to amp up and it's growing in excess. But there's something that's happened here. It's something having to do with the hoarding away of abundance. Because it's like I'm seeing this tortoise, but I can barely make him out. Like I can barely make him out in this picture. And it's because, all over his back, he's got all kinds of things that are all over him, almost as if he's been hoarding it, right? And there's something about that is, well, it's dragging down this sense of abundance, if you will. It's like the tortoise, right? It's slowing down the speed as to which you are receiving. That's so fascinating. So because it's slowing down the speed, what you might be finding is that maybe in a sense that your own manifestations are it's almost like they're slowing down, because it's like before you were in this place where you were needing to evolve, right? And so that's what it is. Because there's an excess and you are also keeping it, like possessing it, you're realizing that your evolution it's like it's slowing down. It's preventing even further evolution. And I want to say that you're actually, this idea for you, Libra, might actually be presenting itself when you are viewing other people, because you're showing up here as this red fox, and it's like you're slipping out. Remember how we were saying how you are in tune with nature and you understand that you will always be taken care of, that type of idea. What this is talking about is like you almost slipping out of that nature and viewing, I want to say, you're viewing these others, those others that you're not resonating with them. I want to clarify, it's like that you're not resonating with, they seem to have like a lack mentality. It has something to do with that. And when you view them, it's like you're not up here And then when you turn back and you view them, you can see that they are hoarding away a bunch of stuff. And it's the hoarding away part of it all is almost reinstilling this lack mentality, because what it's doing is that it's creating the idea that you need to save something for later. And because you need to save something for later, it's almost not trusting that nature will always provide for you. So it's fascinating because they're actually, you are looking into the water. So it's like you're looking at your own reflection kind of in other people in a sense. And it's pointing out to you this idea of abundance, and understanding that if you do have an excess, instead of kind of hoarding it away, maybe even like canning everything, and not that canning is a bad thing, it's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that it's the hoarding of it part. That's the part that you can see has the potential to slow your evolution down, and you're not wanting to prevent any evolution in yourself. You're very much wanting to have like a breakthrough moment and come out of this freeze, because remember how we were saying how it's like you look back and you realize, it's like hindsight 2020, you're realizing how much you were how much you were actually, like, in a sense, stalling your own growth. So it's like, now that you have this excess, you are now realizing that in order to keep the flow, right, the flow of abundance coming back to you, it would almost like behoove you to like throw a feast. You have so much that you can actually afford to throw a feast, and you're trying to decide, right, who do you want to invite to this feast, or who do you actually want to give these resources to? Because when you do that, it's going to, well, one, it's going to provide to people who actually do need it, and two, it's like you're going to be getting more. So there's in a sense, it's like there's no need for you to hang on to, it's like there's no need for you to hang on to the things that you created by being in connection with abundance, because you are in abundance, you will always keep receiving. I hope that makes sense. So, you're realizing that although you can't, it's like, because you are now a frog, right? You can't become a tadpole again. You can't go backwards in your evolutionary process, right? And so because of that, we were talking about how you're trying to determine who you want to invite to the table. And because you don't resonate like with the tadpoles anymore, it's like, do you really want to invite them to the table, or, trying to decide, right? And what I'm sensing here is actually that if you were to perhaps maybe invite the ones that you are not resonant with, like sharing your abundance with those, what's actually going to happen with, this one says self-heal, and it's ripple outward. What's actually going to happen is that you are going to create, it's like planting at the tiniest seed. I'm seeing this as like a little seed. Even here, you can see the water is dripping down. And so it's like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. It's like your knowing and how this all works is basically rippling out into the collective around you. And it's actually causing, it's almost as if you are the first match, right? The first match to be lit. And your effect, this effect for you, is this rippling out of your abundant vibration onto the collective around you, is bringing into the awareness that, like, that they are also connected to abundance too, right? Because if they're in this space where they're hoarding things away, there's a lot of lack, you know, and maybe perhaps actually they need it, because it does take a lot of nutrition, if you will, to go through a metamorphosis like this. Like, you need a lot of energy, food, everything like that to go through this type of metamorphosis. You've already made it, you're already on the other side of it. And so, like, it's almost like as if you don't need as much as they do. So it's like it's trickling down. Your abundance is, because your cup is so full, you're now able to fill other people's cups. And because of that, it's actually like promoting their evolution as well. This is really fascinating. I love this, because what's coming up next, you know, you have your ripple effect that is going down. And with the reishi, I believe it's this mushroom here, and it says defying gravity. What I'm seeing here is that you are actually promoting their own evolution. I hope that you can see it. It's very tiny, but there is like a little, like an inchworm that's going up this ladder of mushrooms, right? So even though, you know, this worm, is it a caterpillar? I think it's a caterpillar. Still, another animal that has a metamorphosis is like, even though they are in the stage, kind of like the stage before their metamorphosis, they're starting to make their way up. They're starting to make their way up in the understanding of abundance and how it works. Now, I don't want to say that they've broken through yet, because they're still in this like tadpole phase here, but they're starting to make their way up. And it's because you are rippling out this energetic vibration of abundance. And it's so fascinating, because it's like it only takes, actually what I'm hearing is that it only takes one act of kindness for someone to realize that they are also always going to be taken care of. It's coming through as like, that is what connects us to that channel of abundance. And then once that channel of abundance occurs, it's like then, and is made solidified as well, it's like it's just going to keep going on and on and on. It's something that like never, like it never stops. It's just, it ripples out, and it just keeps rippling and spanning throughout the entire collective, because every time that ripple hits another person's consciousness and they realize that they're always going to be taken care of by it's not even like universal orchestration. It's like earthly orchestration. It's very much centered around earth. It's like that will trigger someone else's idea that they're always going to be taken care of. There's always abundance. Abundance is all around us. and then it's like, then that ripple goes out. So it's like, it just keeps like amplifying. That's that reflection back and forth that I was referring to here with this in the water. It's like, it's just going to keep amplifying back and forth. It's really gorgeous. So it's like, you know, you're thinking about, okay, these are the ones that I don't really resonate with them anymore. They're kind of locked in this mind state of lack. And, you know, that can be frustrating to be around, because it's almost like I'm sensing you like wanting to explain to them like that's not how it works, or things along those natures, but like you can't explain that because they haven't even reached that point of understanding yet, because they're still under this ice. Do you see what I'm saying? They're still almost like frozen. They still have all of this like clutter, if you will, the hoard. And so the best way to keep your abundance in a constant flow state, and also kind of start a little, it's like setting a domino for them, is to, it's like, invite them to the table, or, you know, share one of your mason jars of whatever you canned, like do it. And it's almost like just sit back and watch your effect unfold. It's like you're going to see how one of your seeds has like rippled out. It's going to be magnificent. So thank you, Libra, so much for allowing me to read your energies. And this was such a fascinating, even for me, I'm, you know, this is very fascinating. So thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.